and pour, ounce and a half or so of each. There are more bottles. There is more in case we ran out.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll need to.
Yeah. We have a couple more. Yep. So we should be good.
We'll try not to. But usually it's an ounce and a half is what they pour.
Yep.
And then you all will need the tasting.
Okay.
Talk about the Nashville. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. And
is it interactive? Will people share tasting notes and stuff like that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I like to manage that.
Yeah.
But after a couple drinks, it's not manageable.
Yep.
So just engage. These people are going to be new fans of Laws. Most of them don't know of you. And I'm going to ask them in front of you, how many have ever heard of Laws? How many have had it?
Yeah.
So you're going to really be able to engage a lot of brand new consumers.
Awesome.
Great.
So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And then, and after each tasting, the lady will go out and pour. And when they pour, it takes a good 5 minutes. That's where we do a lot of Q&A.
Okay.
Pausing as they pour.
Yep.
We're streaming this live too, so we'll get questions online, and I'll ask those questions as they come up. After the second or third pour, I'll introduce sponsors, and I've got a couple of speakers that come up and say hi very quickly. That fellow that just did, he's going to get up and say a few words. It's real easy. We're just going to have fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and I sent you 4 total, so we have 4 bottles of each. So I have 1 extra.
Didn't have 6 in them. They have 4.
They had 4 because
Okay, so for the introduction.
You know what I can do? I can take the leftovers and you can taste them and do reviews with them if you want.
Yeah, and I was thinking if we have like 2 left over, we can give
raffle them off.
Yeah.
For sure. We always raffle off bottles.
Cool.
So what you all need to do for the raffle is think about a really good, maybe a trivia question about laws that you want them to know.
Okay.
That they would never know.
Okay.
So just think of something really fun.
Yeah.
We'll get a lot of interaction and we'll finally get whatever it is away.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay, great.
Suzanne. This
Hi.
is my wife. This is Casey.
Hi, Casey.
And this is
Yeah,
Crystal.
nice to meet you.
So Suzanne was with us at Laws the first time.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't meet
nice.
you on the first
Yeah,
visit.
no, I wasn't there when you guys came through the first
I met you on
time.
the second visit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I got all outlaws all flustered.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds about right.
I'm sweating like that. So we're having a great time.
All right.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Yeah, you all need sipping cups. Hey, Jill. Can you grab some more sipping cups for these ladies so they can take their thing?
Some water if you can.
Where do they come from? Will somebody need them over there? She's bringing them.
Yeah.
Just in case. Hey, Suzanne.
Sweet.
I'm scared to walk around, but I think I'm unmuted. Oh, Casey. Sorry, so for the introductions, do you want me to go first, and then you introduce yourself, and then you go right into the video?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so when he's like, this is Casey and Crystal, I'll be like, hi, I'm Crystal, tasting room manager at Law's Whiskey House. And
I
then like,
your lips look really sparkly.
thank you. And then like more, or just like, I'm Crystal, tasting room manager at Law's
No,
Whiskey
say
House?
say about you. Say like,
Okay.
your little elevator pitch for
Okay,
you.
okay. And then I'll be like, and then this is Casey, and then you'll, okay.
Yeah, once you are ending, I'll be like, and I'm Casey, blah, 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 blah.
And then you'll introduce the video, and then we'll go back to Steve.
Yeah.
And may I just
Thank
ask you
you.
for a water, if you don't mind? Thank you.
You need water? I'm okay right now.
Thank you. I don't know why I know why I'm nervous. I always get a little nervous, but it'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like the sun is like right in our eyes too.
I'm going to step on the inside a little bit so we can be.
There we go. Yeah. I know. I'm so scared. I was like, oh man. I know. Okay. And then you end up unmuting us, right? We don't have to do anything? Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to step behind.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm just gonna go put my hair up. I can't do it.
Okay.
First, second, third, fourth, and last. We're going to do one at a time. We're going to do that an ounce and a half. Make it a good pour, not 2 full ounces. We don't have to do it. We've done it 100 times.
We have 4 spouts and it makes it easier for you. Yeah? Okay, nice to meet you. I'll just put those right here for you. Yeah, okay. Server just asked, she's going to be pouring them, so I want to give her
some. They did drop these pour spouts too. I don't know if they'll fit. I can't tell.
No, those are standard bottle ones. We need the wide neck ones. Okay. For fashion.
For fashion.
Okay. I'll give you those back. I just want the sun to go down.
I know.
We need a little talking juice. Does Uncle Steve know that?
I know. I'll definitely pour a little bit.
I hate the label thing, the things left on them.
You guys are all
awesome. Thank you.
I hate it when people do that.
Huh?
I hate it when they leave these on. The little bottom of the plastic.
I feel like we could put the pour spouts in the first two.
Okay. And then she'll just come up and grab them as needed. Well, we got one who's left-handed and one who's right-handed. We'll see which one's better.
Well, if we don't go through all of these, then we can give away.
I don't want to give away the hero pick.
We can
I've
give.
only got like 12 left.
I have an additional bottle of every single one. So if we don't go through more than 3 of each, we can give any one of those away.
Yeah, those are just getting.
Also, he was like, "You absolutely don't need to bring more than 3 bottles of each. We've never gone through more than 3 bottles of each." So I said 4 just in case. And he's like, "You didn't send a case of each?" I'm like, no.
Right? Yeah. He was expecting extras. Okay.
I feel like I'm not even ever going to have to pee because my body's just like literally just
Right?
absorbing everything.
That's the one thing I'm worried about. I'm trying not to drink too much because I don't want to have to run to the bathroom. Oh, it's hot. I wish they had misters out here or something. Those are just getting cooked right now. Ooh, I like her heels, wedge heel things.
Ooh, yeah.
White ones right here.
I
They look
those
like
a
they'd
lot,
be
too.
comfy. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, close enough. Keep it fortified. All right. Oh, God. Water for your table. Yeah. Some water for the table. There we go. Like, once a server, always a server. She had to clear plates, so I'll run the waters. Whew.
Okay, want a little bourbon?
Yeah. First bourbon of the weekend.
First bourbon.
You're like, I already had it this morning.
We're here for moral support.
As the evening progresses, we will taste these.
Indeed.
Yes.
And you will have some to purchase.
We don't. Well, Steve has
Do I
the
have to-
the barrel club pick to purchase.
I know, but there won't be any.
We don't have
real
any.
personal-
But we are going to do raffles.
We
For
may
some
have
extra
a
bottles.
raffle
Yeah.
in a bottle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are online though. If you just go to the website,
No,
you can
I'll
order
check
it
I'll
there.
check you out.
Yeah.
Online. I don't know where you're stocked. I mean, who carries your?
So here, Liquor Barn.
Liquor Barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me kick this thing off. We'll chat later, okay?
Speakeasy can deliver to Kentucky, right?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too, but I just didn't want to misspeak.
Actually, yes, 100%, because there's definitely people that have like communicated with me on the app.
Okay.
Now, raise your hand if you need bourbon. No, come on. Raise your hand if you need bourbon cups, tasting cups. We got a couple out here. We only have a couple in the back here and back here, okay? So tasting cups back there. Raise your hand if you need water. We refilled most of the pitchers. All right, grab your friendly waitress and she'll help you out there. So we need water out here. Everybody else good with everything? All right, well, why don't we get going? So welcome to the Big Bourbon Club. Everybody, it's hard to hear up here. Hard to hear up here. Hard to hear up here. Welcome to the Big Bourbon Club, to the Laws Whiskey event. Laws Whiskey House out of Denver, Colorado. Have you not heard of Laws before tonight or before the Big Bourbon Club? Raise your hand. It's okay. Raise it. Good. They like that because you're fresh meat. Raise your hand if you've never tasted Laws, any of their expressions. So more than have heard of you.
Okay.
Ladies, don't screw this up. There's a lot of people here that want to try this. We have 5 expressions for you to try, some serious award-winning expressions. Crystal and Casey will tell you about, but before we kick it off with the ladies, let me talk to you about Big Bourbon Club. Raise your hand if you're not a member of the Big Bourbon Club. Raise your hand if you've never heard of the Big Bourbon Club before tonight. You all live in a cave? All right, so a couple things about the Big Bourbon Club. Number one, thank you to everybody who's here. The Big Bourbon Club, in fact, I just told some very smart old business partners of mine that didn't know that BIG stood for Bourbon is Good, Lee. The guy with the Purdue shirt. Bourbon is good. This club, the mission of the club is to try to make bourbon more approachable, more fun, more accessible for everybody. Whether you're a bourbon beginner or wherever you are in your bourbon journey, it's not a society. These are not all experts. This is not all Pappy 23. This is for the 2,200 craft distillers out in the country. This is for the bigger ones out there as well. This is bringing bourbon to people across the world that don't have access to it like we do in Louisville. We have 5,000 members. We're in 50 states, and we have members in 14 countries. And the way thank you. The way that we're able to do that is we have what we call a hybrid membership. We have a virtual platform and an in-person platform. The virtual platform is when you join big, whether you join the free membership, it's forever free. If that's what you want to do, it's fine. It's kind of cheap, but you can do it. Or you can buy the top shelf, which is $125. But the primary difference is top shelf is these events here are free, and we do typically 8 or 9 a year here at Joe's. And if you're free, it's $45 a ticket. So some of you all are guests of others, guests of mine. We're glad you're here. Hopefully you feel compelled enough to join. We'd love to have you. If you want to join the free, join the free. We'd love to have that too. But on the app, we're getting over 600 engagements every day from our members across the world. Posting kind of like Facebook, but it's proprietary. It's our club, and people are posting on there, sharing, trading bottles, meeting new friends. We're having a great time. We also stream out the live events. So up here, we are streaming on Facebook and another proprietary technology called Welcome to the members of the club who choose to participate virtually. So you can do it virtually, you can do it in person, or you can do both. But we're reaching a lot of people that have otherwise not had access or had the ability to get access to bourbon. So we're excited about that. A couple of other announcements. Where's Missy Tompkins? Missy, stand up. So Missy in the back. Missy's an old friend of mine, and even an older friend was her husband, Stephen, who was one of my absolute best friends from kindergarten on, and Stephen passed a couple of years ago with melanoma, and so Missy has put on a memorial golf scramble, a auction, and how much money did you raise this year for Stevens? $45,000. And so Big has been a promoter, sponsor. We always will be, but we donated 4 bottles, I think. Several. Raise your hand, guys, for those of you who won memberships in the auction. Jeff Steele and some of the others. So they bid on the auction. The money goes to curing cancer through the fund that Missy Tompkins started. So thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. Next, I'm working on 3 really important fundraisers for Officer Nick Wilt. Officer Wilt was the young fella on the force in less than 2 weeks, ran into actually outside of the bank building and was shot in the head. How he survived is clearly a miracle, but he's not only survived, he's home and he's doing well. Now, I don't think he'll ever be normal, right? What normal was for him, but he's survived and he's got a wife and he's doing well. So the Jack Daniel's barrel pick that is for sale tonight for $65, 50% of all profits from that barrel pick will go to Officer Wilt's Recovery Fund. We have an event coming up. Thank you. The second fundraiser for Officer Wilt, and I'm doing this in conjunction with Independence Bank Board, not only a sponsor, but I'm a director of the bank. But for every new member that joins Big since July 1 to the end of the year, I'm going to give $3 back to every new member who joins as a free member. And I would hope we get 1,000 new members. We may not, but if we did, you can do 3 times 1,000, $3,000. For every top shelf member at $125, I'm giving $50 back for that same 5 months. So don't know how many of you all will join, but for whoever does join, Ron and Nina, they just joined. That's $100 that we're giving back, that I'm giving back to Officer Nick Wilt's Recovery Fund. So not only is joining Big Bourbon fun because you get to drink bourbon and meet cool people, but we're also doing some good things in the community, and we've done a lot more than that. The last one I want to tell you about is a really cool event, and it's on October the 14th. Raise your hand if you have ever heard of the trilogy called the Bourbon Kings. Raise it high. So some of you have heard of it. The author of that lives in Louisville. Her pen name is J.R. Ward. Her real name is Jessica Bird. She's married to a very dear friend of mine, Neville Blakemore, and they have a home up in Glenview that I think you'll be impressed with. But we're doing an event at her house on October the 14th, which is a fundraiser for Officer Wilt. And we're bringing David Coors out from Colorado, from Coors Whiskey House. And David and Jessica are going to speak to the members there about bourbon and pop culture. She's a New York Times multi-number-1 best-selling author, 25 times, I think. He's got a brand new whiskey company, Laws. Coors just purchased Blue Run. You may have read that a week ago. So they've got big plans. David's coming out, and you can meet David, you can meet Jessica. It's $80 for a free member. You must be a member of the club to go. It's a Big Bourbon Club event. It's $50 if you're a top shelf member. Okay? And then the 15% of all ticket sales go back to Officer Will. So get your tickets there for that now. Okay? A couple more things, and then we'll turn it over to Laws. So we've got some other events coming up. So we just talked about J.R. Ward, October the 14th event. We have Jack Daniels right here at Joe's on November the 14th. So Jack will be here, and they've got some really cool, really interesting expressions that you've not had. I promise you that. So I hope you can come for that. Next year, we've got scheduled in February Dixon Devon, who owns 2XO. Thank you for that, Ed. We've got Yellowstone coming back. Steve Beam's coming on March 12th. You were with me, Travis, when we got that commitment. April 9th is Blade & Bow, a Diageo company, and they've not done this before. They don't get out in the community at all. This will be cool. And then we have Coors Whiskey Company coming back in May. So we got a great schedule for next year, okay? So just take note of that. So raise your hand if you've tried Laws before. Somebody's raising 2 hands. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I think you're going to be in for a real treat. They're going to tell you about the distillery, but I will say this. I was first out there in September 2 years ago, so it'll be 2 years and a month. Suzanne and I went out with some friends, the Boffmans and the Woosleys. We did a barrel pick a year later, which is what we're going to be drinking as our 5th tasting tonight. It was barrel 600, 8.5-year-old. But Laws has made all of their own whiskey from day one. They've never sourced. They make it all. And I think I'm right. Don't you have up to 12-year-old bourbon now? 10, 11?
We're 11.
11-year-old
we're about
bourbon.
12 years now.
So they've been grinding it out for a decade, making their own bourbon, aging it, hoping when they open it up 5 years later, it's as good as they want. And it's winning all sorts of awards, and it's fantastic. So I'm very proud and excited to introduce a good friend, Casey Rizzo. Casey is the one. Did anybody ever see on the app the distillery spotlight that we do? Casey did every bit of that, and I have been told by more than 100 people, if it wasn't the very, very best, if it wasn't tied for the best, it was the very, very best. So you did an incredible job. And Crystal flew in from Denver. They got in this morning. So Casey and Crystal, take it off.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us here. I'm Crystal Barrios. I'm the tasting room manager at Laws Whiskey House. I also handle internal events over there. So if you're ever out and about or you're coming to Denver to visit, please reach out. My email's all over the website. We'd love to have you come down to the distillery and check us out. But yeah, I have been in Denver for over 14 years. So not quite a native just yet, but I'm almost there with some status there, but I do a lot in the community there within the beer and whiskey industry. So I am part of the Bourbon Women group that we have in Denver, and then I'm also a chapter leader for the Pink Boot Society, which is also for fermentable beverages and extends their industry out to everyone who identifies as a woman or is a woman or in the industry and just kind of advocates for women distillers as well as women brewers. So that's a really fun organization to be a part of, as well as the Bourbon Women chapter that we have in Denver, which we're excited to be here for Symposium this weekend as well. And then I'm here with Casey Rizzo.
To Crystal. Hi, everyone. I am Casey. If you have participated or worked in the Big Bourbon app, I am in there a lot. I like to chat with a lot of you guys, and I see a lot of nice faces. So if I haven't said hi to you yet, or you recognize me, or if we chatted, come please say hi to me. Yeah, so I am the brand education and marketing coordinator with Laws. I've been with Laws for a little over 4 years now. Started in the tasting room, love whiskey, come from a hospitality kind of background. So this was it for me. But today we are going to kind of nerd out on whiskey with you guys. We're going to talk about a little bit about our history, a little bit about how Laws started, and then we'll definitely taste through some whiskey. The first thing that is in front of you is our 4-grain straight bourbon. This is really our small batch flagship, the first thing that we ever made, which we'll really deep dive into. But, you know, you guys are all whiskey pros. Whiskey is best however you drink it. So if you want to dive into that first one, feel free. There is pens on all the tables with tasting notes if you care to write down any of your tasting notes. But we have a quick little brand video that has Al Laws, our owner. You can kind of see some of the distillery and some of our farms, and we'll start with that, and then we'll kind of deep dive into Laws. So.
Whiskey is the highest evolved spirit that is made in the world today. To me, it's the perfect drink. It tastes like the grains it's made from. It comes from 4 basic things, right? Grain, water, yeast, and barrels. It's the simplest kind of thing. I've always really liked the location of where whiskeys are made as an influence on their flavors. We're situated, or happen to be situated, in Colorado. Great place to make whiskey. Whiskeys that are made here, whether it's ours or others, have a distinctive Colorado or Rockies taste, and I think that's what will develop as companies like Laws Whiskey House and others of our peers grow. I want to be part of the fabric of American whiskey heritage. In the end of the day, there's a great story that's been told, and we're the next chapter of it. Whiskey is a value-added farming product, period. That's where it came from. Our history is entwined with that. It's a symbiotic relationship between the farms, Cody Family Farm, Whiskey Sisters, and us. So when we set out on this journey, we were looking to build something that wasn't really copying anything else. We wanted different types of whiskey. We wanted to fill in the white space as we saw it in American whiskey. So we led with 4-grain, and then we went more to very rich single grain whiskeys. We wanted to make more pure grain flavored whiskeys, or we're trying to give you essentially all the flavors of the 4 American mother grains. In whiskey, everything's about flavor. Like if you grow that rye in Minnesota, or if you grow it in upstate New York, or if you grow it here in the San Luis Valley, the tastes are different. That's what rye is to us. Rye is about the terroir. It's the varietal plus the soil plus the environmental condition, all those things together, that combination. And when you're making single grain whiskeys like rye, it matters so much. The journey is what makes the outcome the best thing, knowing that you did it right. We always get better at what we do, and we will continue to do that because we care about all of the aspects. We never let stuff drift, and that's part of what no shortcuts means. Respect the process, respect what the outcomes are, and adjust when needed. Every single person here is important because they all do something that get us to the finish line. And this village was people that were passionate about whiskey. They're obsessed. And that is one of the defining characteristics of Laws Whiskey House. Our village is obsessed with making the best thing we possibly can. Whiskey is the highest evolved spirit there is. It's pretty amazing to see the community join us and come to our releases. Folks that really are into taking this adventure with us, this journey.
Hello. All right, so that was just a little introduction to the brand. You kind of got to see some of the inside stuff, but that gentleman talking there was Al Laws. Al is our owner, founder, CEO, puts the laws in Laws Whiskey. Al and Marianne, his wife, both grew up in Canada, like any good Canadian boy, since I hear that it's pretty much hockey, maple syrup whiskey out in Canada. He started drinking whiskey pretty early on in life, and he's definitely not a beer guy. He is not a wine guy. You will not see a glass of beer or wine in his hand. You will pretty much at all times see a glass of whiskey in his hand. But he grew up, became an adult, moved to New York, and worked on Wall Street for Merrill Lynch. May have described that job as soul-sucking, his words, not mine, but paid the bills, supported his whiskey whiskey habits. He has over 600 bottals in his own personal library at home, all open, all willing to share with family and friends. He is the first person to tell you if you have a good bottle of whiskey, open it, drink it, enjoy it, share it. There's always good whiskey aging in a barrel somewhere, right? So this passion kind of turned into this talk of starting a distillery. And he was still working for Merrill Lynch at the time. They actually had a hand in him starting this distillery because they transferred him and his family out to Colorado on a 2-year contract. They realized very quickly what a lot of us transplants to Colorado realize, that it's a great place to live, it's a great place to raise your family, and it also happens to be a really, really great place to make and age whiskey. So before Al and Marianne started, they came on down to Kentucky, traveled the Bourbon Trail, met a gentleman by the name of Bill Friel, if you are familiar with him. He was the master distiller of Barton's for over 35 years. He's one of the only living members in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. And Al was able to set up this very by chance kind of 30-minute meet and greet with him to just pick his brain, ask him about distilling. They were talking, they were drinking. 30 minutes turned into an hour, turned into 2 hours, turned into 3 hours. At the end of this conversation, Al had convinced Bill to come out of retirement, to come out to Denver and help us start a distillery. So Al definitely has this huge passion for whiskey, and Bill really saw that and really wanted to cultivate that, which we really appreciate. Bill really helped out with kind of 2 big things, one being the mash bill for our 4-grain bourbon, which I'll talk a little bit about, and then also the design of our production floor. It's a little bit unique, smaller. It's still designed to this day, so one distiller at a time can run the whole place. You may have seen or noticed that we do not have a master distiller. That is on purpose, because we are still a relatively young company at 12 years, which is really exciting for us, but we still think that we're all working to earn that title of master distiller. So we do have a head distiller. We have 2 lead distillers, but with one distiller running the floor at a time, we really allow everyone to kind of own that production floor and have this really collaborative mindset when we're making our whiskey. So that was in 2009 when they met. By 2011, they were out in Denver. We had all the equipment, everything to go. We're ready. July 4th, 2011 was our official distilling anniversary. That is when Al and Bill laid down their first barrel of bourbon. Bill went back off to Kentucky, left Al and his wife, Marianne, to their own devices. They continued to distill for the next almost 3 years. Those first 60 barrels that we made, Al and Marianne laid down by themselves. Al continued to work full-time for Merrill Lynch during this time while we were just aging and waiting for our whiskey to be ready. So we have never sourced any whiskey. We've never made any clear spirits like gin or vodka. We are a whiskey house. Everything that we have aged is at least 3 years. And as Steve mentioned, now that we're 12 years old, we're getting up in older and older age statements as well, which is super exciting. But we didn't actually open our doors until 2014 to sell our first bottle. So anything that you ever have had from Laws or will have from Laws has been always distilled right in our distillery in Denver. So we are a true Colorado distillery. We're distilled, aged, and bottled in Denver, but also all our grains come from Colorado as well, which is really, really important. So we are not a Kentucky distillery. We've never claimed to be. We don't want to be. We honor these, Kentucky traditions, but we really, really enjoy the flavor that we get out of our grains in Colorado. So we get grains from just 2 small family farms in Colorado. Our wheat, rye, and barley come from the Cody family. They own Colorado Malting Company. They're a 5th generational farm. They were one of the first farms to ever provide barley to Coors back in the day, so they've been around a long time. So they not only grow all those really unique heirloom grains, and the San Luis Valley is a unique area of Colorado, but they also malt all our grains. And then our corn comes from Burlington, from the Whiskey Sisters. They are real sisters. They are as cool as they sound. I cannot make this up, but Whiskey Sister Supply grows all our corn. They are also took over their family farm, which is recognized as a centennial farm in Colorado. So it's been around for over 100 years now. So our 4-grain bourbon, which is the first thing that you're sitting on, this is our flagship. This is the first thing that we ever made, and this was really, really important to Al. So this 4-grain bourbon is going to be 60% corn, 20% wheat, 10% rye and 10% barley. So it has both rye and wheat in the mash bill, which is super cool. And when Al was first starting out, he really wanted to capture a bourbon that had kind of that drinkability of those wheated bourbons with the complexity of those rye heavy bourbons. And the way that we're able to do that with kind of without the rye competing with the wheat and drowning out the wheat is that in our distillery at the very beginning, we have a lot longer, more detailed cook process than a lot of distilleries. So we do cook all of the grains together together in our cooker, but we pitch them in all at separate times and cook them at different times and temperatures. So we're layering all those grains in and capturing the best flavor from each cook temperature. So our 4-grain bourbon here, this is going to be 95 proof. This is our flagship. Our small batch is about 100 barrels now for both our flagship bourbon and rye. Everything is at least 3 years, but this is batch 29. And starting with batch 28, we did something super exciting that we're all really excited about. For the first time, we put some really older barrels in that as well. So we are now old enough to get a few barrels with that complexity that brings in those barrel notes from the older barrels. So when you used to see this, it would be about 3.5 years. Now we have 3 to 10-year-old barrels in our flagship bourbon product, which is super exciting. We didn't stop there. After we did that 4-grain bourbon, we wanted to break apart all those grains and do single variation whiskeys. So we have our 100% rye whiskey, which you guys will try next. There is no other grain in this besides rye, 50% raw, 50% malt. We offer 100% wheat whiskey, not a wheated bourbon, but only wheat in the mash bill. We have a malted barley whiskey, and then also we have a distillery exclusive corn whiskey. So you can try all those singular variation whiskeys, how they taste by themselves, and then how they all play off of each other in one 4-grain bourbon. What do we think so far, guys? All right. Do you have anything to say about the bourbon?
Yeah, the bourbon is really special to us. Of course, that's our flagship, but also at the time when we were coming out, there were not a lot of 4-grain bourbons on the market, right? And a lot of consumers don't even know, do I like a wheated bourbon? Do I like a high rye bourbon? So it was a really interesting conversation to teach people that, yes, these 2 grains can play together in a mash bill where hopefully you're experiencing that as you're tasting it, right? You're getting the softness of the wheat without it being overpowered by the spiciness of the rye, but they're kind of layered in on your palate that way. So I think that's something really exciting. And of course, now 12 years in, there's a few more of them out on the market, but arguably so, there's still not a ton of 4-grain bourbons out there for you to experience. There's a few 4-grain whiskeys, but not even a whole lot of 4-grain bourbons. So I think that's just something special to highlight about us. And not only is it those 4 grains that Casey talked about coming from Colorado, you really are tasting the terroir, right? And if they can talk to you about that water out in Tennessee, I can surely tell you we got that Boulder Spring water in this, and that's what we use to proof it down. So that's going to have that nice, fresh, high altitude alkaline water that we're going to be using in that process as well. And when we do our proofing, you may have seen on that video, there are no shortcuts. That is plastered on the wall at our distillery. There are no shortcuts with proofing. We do a slow proofing process, right? We talk to you about how much we care about these grains and how much we want you to taste Colorado. I want you to taste dirt. I want you to taste the farm. You should get these very vegetal notes off of this bourbon for you. But we want that terroir to carry through in that finished product. So we want that taste of Colorado for you.
So we are a high proof distillery. Sorry, not sorry. So 95 is really the lowest that you'll see from us. These are the first 2. And then we also make bonded products as well, which are going to be the last 2 that you taste, our bonded bourbon and our bonded rye. We were the first distillery in Colorado to ever produce a bonded product. We started with our 4-grain bourbon and our rye, both at 4 years. And now we have an 8-year-old bourbon and a 7-year-old bonded rye, which you guys will be trying today as well. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit of the grains, but I think we can start pouring some of the rye as well for you guys here. Rye. All right, we'll get you guys pouring some. So you hear Crystal and I, and on the video, talk about terroir a lot. That's very, very important to us.
Sorry. Can't go that way. Yep, I can't go over there.
So terroir is very, very important to us. You hear that word in the wine world a lot, right? It's basically French for of the earth, how the earth or the soil affects the grape or the grain.
Bourbon, yes.
I say grape because if you go to a winery, if you go to a vineyard, you'll hear a lot about this, right? They will talk extensively about how the grape grown on this hill is very, very different from the grape grown in this valley. And even if you produce the same exact wine, you'll get really different flavors from that terroir. So that is really important to us. For a long, long time, it was believed that terroir doesn't present in the grain the same way it does in the grape, that you don't get the flavor from it. We now know that we absolutely do, but there wasn't a lot of study for it before because grain farmers never necessarily had to grow for flavor. They never really have to, right? A lot of farmers grow these high yield commodity grains. Now we are kind of pulling back and going to not these high yield commodity grains, but these low yield heirloom grains. So the wheat, rye, and barley that grow in the San Luis Valley of Colorado, it is a very unique area. It used to be a prehistoric lake bed. So the soil is really sandy. It has really interesting soil that actually stresses the grains out. So they have to grow deeper roots, which really packs the protein in there. So the rye in particular is a varietal of rye that does not grow anywhere else in the entire world. The farmers have done genetic testing on it. They have found that out. They have now trademarked it as the SLV rye, the San Luis Valley rye. So you will see that as a varietal in the world. So when you're tasting this rye, it's very unique because not only are you getting 100% rye whiskey, 50% raw rye, 50% malted rye, but it's this unique rye grain that doesn't grow anywhere else in the world. We are contracted to buy about 80% of their grain grown on the Cody family farm any given year, and we are buying almost 100% of that grain right now. In the last couple years, we've done some really cool upgrades to our distillery. So we went from producing about 75 barrels a month to now we're producing almost 200 barrels a month with some upgrades and a new still. Thank you, thank you. I was down on the Cody family farm and just casually mentioned that, like, oh, haven't you heard? Isn't that so exciting? And Jason Cody was like, 200 barrels a month? We're going to have to grow some more rye. Like, got our head distiller on the phone right away and was like, we're going to have to plant a whole new field. So it's a really, really great relationship that we have with our farmers too. Like many small businesses over the last 10 years, local small farms in Colorado were really, really struggling. And it's great to kind of build these relationships. Same with the Whiskey Sisters. When they started selling to distilleries, their great-grandparents wanted them to be a dry farm. Their grandfather, the Whiskey Sisters' grandfather, would roll over in his grave if he knew that they were selling predominantly to whiskey distilleries right now. But we very, very much appreciate the pivot that the Whiskey Sisters have done. So this next one, I think we're coming around, but again, is the rye. Very different. So we went from this 4-grain bourbon at 95 proof to now this 95 proof rye. The 4-grain bourbon only had 10% of that rye. So if you go back and forth, you might get to taste some of those. But with bourbon, I get this nice warm hug. It's warmer. With rye, like Crystal said, it's very vegetal. It has almost more this, we get kind of these serrano peppers, these pepper notes. I get a lot of almost minty eucalyptus. It's a great, great whiskey also for your favorite Manhattan or Old Fashioned, because rye is just so complex. It holds up really beautifully in a cocktail.
Hey, everybody, any questions? Any questions of the ladies? Dennis.
How does Bourbon water compare to limestone water? And how do the seasons in Denver compare to the seasons in Kentucky?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I mean, as far as the water goes, you know, good water is important. We know that, and it's definitely Yes, and it has a high pH in that Boulder water as well, so it's definitely going to give you those different flavors. Seasons are fun for us. So if anyone has ever been to Colorado, you may have experienced all 4 seasons in one day. It's not uncommon for us to wake up to a snowstorm and then go to bed with 70-degree weather, or vice versa. It happens all the time, and that's really great for us, especially for the barrel aging. So at Laws, we don't necessarily rotate our barrels, and we don't necessarily really climate control our warehouse. It's more for the workers in the warehouse rather than the barrel. And that's because the barometric pressure changes so much in Denver, especially where we are in the mountains. We have the barometric pressure kind of pushing down on us. And kind of that natural weather in Denver allows our barrels to breathe very, very rapidly. So just letting kind of Colorado and Denver do its thing, we say our barrels take 1 breath a day. So they breathe everything in, push it all back out. So we get really, really awesome aging results from just where we are. Also, higher altitude is a benefit. At higher altitudes, alcohol evaporates a little bit slower rate than water. So when we do lose that angel share, the angels actually take a little bit more water and leave more of our precious whiskey. So our whiskey comes off at the still at about 125 proof. We do proof it down to about 105, between 105 110. That's our barrel entry proof for all of our barrels. And they go up in proof very nicely as they age, and a lot of that is the benefit from the altitude. So we really love what Colorado does to our whiskey in that sense too.
Any other questions? Yeah, over here. Our barrels come from Independent Stave Company out of Lebanon, Missouri. So we do use full-size 53-gallon barrels. That's our nod to y'all out here in Kentucky. So those are where we'll get those barrels from. Fun fact, they do have Independent Stave Company here in Kentucky, but we get ours from Lebanon, Missouri. So, yeah. And char level 3, just in case you didn't ask, char level 3. Yes, sir, in the blue. So barrel entry proof, we're going to do about 105 to 110. So within the first year, we were putting it in at 125 and having significant loss. So that's when we kind of corrected course, knocking it down with that El Dorado spring water just to like 105, between 105 and 110. That allows us to keep the most amount of whiskey within those first couple years of maturation when you experience the most loss, and lose that water instead. South. Yeah, so Denver's right in the middle. Imagine a square, right? Denver's right in the middle, and we're going straight down south to Alamosa for the rye, the wheat, and the barley. And then we're going straight out east. Before we get to Kansas, we'll stop at Burlington. Indeed. Yep, yes. Way out in Burlington. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. We got a question back there. In Denver. Yep. So at our rack house, which is about a mile away from the distillery. So we are aging over 4,000 barrels in that rack house. We have a secondary rack house that's about 10 miles away from that one, and we've got maybe about 500 barrels over there. So that's the one we're going to start to fill up in. But yeah, and then we still have barrels, of course, at the distillery, because I got to have something to show y'all on tours. But when we get people that come through and they're like, oh my gosh, is that all you have aging? And we're like, no, don't worry. I have to show you this, but we've got more in the back aging.
If they didn't say it, Brian, the distillery and the main rack house is 8 minutes from downtown, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, about 10 minutes away from Cherry Creek area. Yeah.
What's the elevation of the
It's right. So I mean, Denver is 5280, so it's right around 5280.
That's a mile high.
Mile
high.
There it is. Oh, come on. That was wide open.
We have practiced that for 2 weeks now.
I think we had a question back here. Laws Whiskey House, yeah. Absolutely. So Alan Laws is a very thoughtful man, right? There's nothing that he does without an intention behind it. So you have mats in front of you, so just find our logo somewhere so you can follow along with me here. But if you look, our knot, where is our knot on here? Here we go. So up and down, if you imagine the symbol for infinity, but with points instead of rounded edges, that's that symbol for time. And then going across, those 3 intersecting squares are your symbol for process. So it was always Al's goal to get lost in time doing the process that he loves, which is making whiskey. And then, of course, that's a double meaning there because you can't make good whiskey without taking the time to do it right. So
Exactly.
and that's Al. That's not me. That's Al.
And that's really important to us as well. We talked about aging in Colorado, and some people will talk about how that does kind of speed up the process. We can get a little bit more color more quickly than, say, aging down here because of our weather and the barometric pressure. But that doesn't mean that we age our whiskey for any less. You know, we do have this there are no shortcuts approach, and there's something to be said about just that time in the barrel, regardless of some of kind of these age gimmicks that you get out there. We make everything straight, so as many of you I'm sure know, straight means that it is aged for at least 2 years. Al intended to make straight whiskey from the get-go, so he intended to be closed, just making and aging whiskey for the first 2 years. After those first 2 years, he opened up a barrel, tasted it, and was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is well on its way. This is good, but we're not quite there yet. So he put it back in the rack house, aged it for a 3rd year, and then after that 3rd year was like, okay, this is where we want to start. This is the Laws Whiskey House profile. So,
okay, so question, trivia. Casey just said it in the last 1 minute. What is the tattoo that graces Al's forearm? She just said it. No? It's the first time your table hadn't won something, though. She said the words, and I was going to bring it up later. No, they're words.
It's
Casey, not me.
It's also on our distillery wall.
Yeah, there we go.
Take no shortcuts.
There are no
There
shortcuts.
are no shortcuts.
You don't win anything, but congratulations.
Ah, you're paying attention.
There are no shortcuts. All right, have you all tried the rye yet? Let's try it. What do you think? What do you get on it? So, you like it?
Earthy, yes, absolutely.
Earthy's great.
What profiles you getting on it? What is it?
Spicy? Yes, absolutely.
Any particular flavor profile you get? Honey?
Ooh.
I was just gonna say, is it sweet to anyone? Because surely some ryes are spicy, but ours can sometimes present a little sweetness to you as well. Yeah.
Suzanne, what do you get? You got a good
Yes.
palate. You do. What do you get?
Yeah, right?
She likes a good rye.
And when we're sipping whiskey, guys, we talk a lot, we focus a lot on smell and taste. Those are 2 really, really important things, right? You don't want to diminish those olfactories in your nose, and you want to be able to taste the whiskey. But there's another nerve in your body that I like to talk about when we're drinking whiskey that sometimes gets ignored, and it's called your trigeminal nerve.
Hold it down, please. It's really hard to hear. Hold it down. We want to limit the fun. Thank you. It's just really loud.
So we also like to talk, aside from, you know, nosing and tasting, your trigeminal nerve, which is a nerve in your face right here that has nothing to do with taste or smell.
Hold on. Say that again.
Trigeminal. Trigeminal.
Raise your hand if you've ever heard of that.
See?
There's no way.
Yeah.
You are nurses.
But you have, if you've ever been to the dentist, Steve, they've tapped your trigeminal nerve. I'll let Casey explain.
Hold on. I got a dentist show. Why was the toothbrush not invented in Kentucky? Because if it were invented here, they were called a toothbrush. Teeth brush. Sorry, teeth brush.
Teeth brush. There we go. All right, Casey, tell them how they all have trigeminal nerves.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Dad joke, dad joke.
So if any of you are doctors or nurses or dentists in here, and that's why you know the trigeminal nerve, I apologize because I'm talking like whiskey level terms for a trigeminal nerve. Anytime I mention the trigeminal nerve in the distillery, there's always someone that's like, Well, I'm a doctor, and actually, these are all the things we're just talking about when you're drinking whiskey. So when you're drinking whiskey, your trigeminal nerve is right here in your face. There's kind of 3 points, and it doesn't have anything to do with taste or smell. It has to do with a feeling, and that feeling that your trigeminal kicks off is either heating or cooling. So when you're drinking whiskey and you get that heat, but you can't pinpoint that descriptive flavor, sometimes it's not a flavor. It's legitimately just your trigeminal nerve telling you heat. I get heat from our bourbon. I get it from the wheat grain. I know it's the wheat. When I drink that bourbon, when I drink our 100% wheat, it flushes me up here. It warms my cheek. Rye actually does the exact opposite for me. It hits my trigeminal nerve down here. It gives me more of a cooling feeling. That's where I get that minty spearmint. So when you recognize that's kind of a third thing in your body that helps with tasting, you can kind of unlock some really cool new tasting notes from that as well.
Any other questions about bourbon, about rye?
I've got a comment. So let's do a straw poll. We've had 2 tastings, 2 totally different, a rye and a bourbon, right? Mm-hmm. Who liked the bourbon, the first tasting, the best of the 2? Raise it. Doug, don't be shy. Get that hand up. You never been shy in your life. Okay, we like the rye better. So
wow, look at that.
Let me ask this question. Raise your hand if coming into tonight you would say you like bourbon better than rye.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So maybe half. So raise your hand if you would like rye better than bourbon.
Yeah.
So probably more. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And especially with our rye, because again, not to toot our own horn, but it is going to taste different than the rye that you all have here in Kentucky, than the rye that you get in upstate New York, than the rye they're putting out in Washington, right? And so that's the beauty of it, is you may have tried all rye and been like, oh, I don't really like ryes. But once you start exploring the terroir behind those ryes and exploring them from other states and other parts of the country, we look at the map of Scotland and we can very pinpoint say that type of whiskey is coming from that place in Scotland. We're going to get there with a map of America where we can point to a state. We can point to Kentucky. We can point to Colorado. We can be like, that type of whiskey is what you're going to get in that state. And I think that's really important to be a part of that fabric of American whiskey that we're trying to be a part of and share with you all today as well.
So I love to see all these rye people out there because, I always describe rye like cilantro. You kind of either love it or you hate it, and that's absolutely okay. But a lot of people will come into our distillery, say they don't like rye. Rye's not their jam, and I love to just be like, just please try our rye. Let me know what you think, because it is very different. It is a unique varietal of rye that you aren't going to get anywhere else. And with all our grains, it's really important to us is that what you're sipping right now, the grains have only ever been 3 places: on the farm, in our distillery, and in this bottle. There's no other place that these grains have ever traveled, except for the truck to get from the farm to the distillery.
I was going to say, that's right. And then we got one question back here, Casey.
Hey, it's hard to hear. I heard a very prominent.
There's a very prominent aroma to the nose that I'm having trouble putting a name to. So I'm kind of curious about people's descriptive work for that.
On the rye?
On the rye.
Yeah, so everybody give the rye a little nose if you haven't already. Not taste it, just nose it, right? An interesting thing, we can smell a heck of a lot more than we can taste. So use your nose to your advantage in that way. So anybody getting something that they want to share? It's a safe place. Everyone can feel. Dirt. Yes, it smells like dirt. Spearmint. Okay, we got that. No, something else? Are we thinking more vegetable, more sweet, more savory? Sometimes we get like a little umami note to it, almost like a seaweed, kind of like a saline, a salty brine, something like that, an oyster liquor. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost sometimes get like eucalyptus and like a pink peppercorn.
Yep. Yes. And there's no right or wrong answers, y'all. Hopefully you know that down here in Kentucky. This is all subjective. We can shout out anything we're experiencing.
So let me shout out real quick. Raise your hand. So let's imagine a bourbon beginner. A real beginner is a 0 and an expert aficionado is a 10. Raise your hand if you're between 1 and a 3. Self-proclaimed beginner, just getting on that journey. So we've got a few. All right.
Welcome, friends.
Hold on a second. My brother raised his hand. He gave me whiskey when I was 15 years old.
He just asked us to repeat the question so people can hear it online. So if
Okay.
someone asks a question, just be like, so the
Raise your
question
hand if
was.
you're maybe a 4 to a 6, kind of middle of the road. All right. Raise your hand if you're 6 to more of the 10 side. It's pretty like a third, a third, a third.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got a
yeah.
good balance here.
Yeah.
All right, what do y'all think? We're going to pour number 3. Can I go ahead and jump up here, ladies, real
Yes,
quick? And
please
another
do.
announcement?
Can we move? Are we allowed?
So, Bill, we're going to do, sorry, microphone. It's too complicated. Let me go without it. Can you all hear me without a microphone? Yeah, my voice is deep enough. People online can't hear? Okay, so hold on. I'll fix it. This technology is getting complicated. On. Okay. Forgot what I was going to do. So we did have one question online from Facebook, I believe. And this is a very technical, Carter, we're doing 3 if you don't, could you help? Thank you. Yep. This guy. Thank you. Why? So let me read it again. When rye ages, it gets gummed up. Is that what they said? When rye is distilling, it kind of gets gummed up. I don't know what that means.
Yes.
Can you help with that?
Yes. So
Yeah, we all have a little bit of PTSD from, I think, 2012 Rye-gate, as we call it, when that happened one time. But yeah, rye's a little feisty. You can talk a little bit to rye.
it's definitely the oiliest grain out of all of them. So that definitely presents itself when we're cooking it as well as when we're fermenting it. And we like to joke that rye is kind of like the toddler, right? As long as you got eyes on the toddler, they're behaving themselves, they're doing really well, right? The second you turn your back on that toddler, they're writing on the walls with markers and things like that. And that happens at the distillery quite often, I would say. We did dub that one Rye-gate, but that doesn't mean there aren't a bunch of mini Rye-gates that happen frequently, where for no apparent reason, like we will control those fermenters as best as we can with temperature and everything else and pH and all that. And just rye is a feisty little mix and sometimes just overflows in those fermenters for no reason at all. But I think, again, it being very oily, very viscous, when you're tasting that rye, it has that big mouthfeel, right? And some people really like that. You might be smacking your lips together even 10 minutes after you had that sip, and you're like, wow, that's still hanging out on my palate. That's still with me. We joke it's the lingering spirit, right? It's going to stay with you as you continue on in your tasting. So we love the rye. It's definitely one of the self-proclaimed favorite children at the distillery. It's one that we all love to drink, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. We're going to kick back to bourbon, but then we'll end with the older rye as well for you. So now we're going to try our 8-year bonded bourbon. So jumping up in proof point, yes, 100 proof, and then also age for you as well. But I'll give it back to Steve.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Bill, can we run the sponsors? So we have a lot of sponsors of the Big Bourbon Club, 2.5 years into this thing. And I'd just like to recognize up on the screen Independence Bank. Are you all the customers of Independence Bank? Anybody? Well, I know you guys are. Anybody else? We're giving away a free bottle of Pappy 23 if you sign up for a checking account tomorrow.
I'll sign up for a checking account, right?
Tell the teller that, please.
Steve Hedden said, tell
Louis Straub. Independence Bank, great bank out of Owensboro, $3.5 billion of assets. Henderson Habitat for Humanity, who we're going to bring up in a minute. Not yet. I see him in the corner, but they've got the biggest fundraiser with bourbon, the bourbon raffle in the state of Kentucky. And I'll let them break their news to you, but they've been a great partner of Big Bourbon Club this will be 3 years running that you all come up and met the club, but that'll come later. Bourbon Plus Magazine. Did you know we're the official bourbon club of Bourbon Plus Magazine? And if you join, it's a quarterly print magazine. It's extremely, it's a very high-end magazine. It's fantastic. But if you join and use the big code, which you can get it on the app, it's 25% off for an annual subscription. But that's Bourbon Plus Magazine. And we have Buster's Liquor Store in Memphis. A lot of you know Buster's, but if you're down in Western Tennessee, it is the best liquor store down there in probably all of Tennessee. The Catholic Education Foundation, another partner that we've helped raise a lot of money for kids going to grade school in the Catholic system. Fraser History Museum, which is the official first stop on the Bourbon Trail. Great friends and partners. Our accounting group, Sherry Radler, I don't think Sherry's here. They're my CPA firm, but they're a partner of ours, great firm. Smash Graphics. I know Paul sent us over here. His brother Scott owns Smash Graphics. They do a lot of the advertising, graphical part of what Big Bourbon Club is. Great friend. Smith Law, you've met Smith Law before out of Northern Kentucky. They represent a lot of the distilleries in the state of Kentucky. Mint Julep Experiences, the largest tour guide in the state. Sean Higgins, and Element 502, which is none other than Bill Reynolds over in the corner, who is streaming all of this. Thank you, Bill, very much. All right, and we're taking applications for anybody else. All right, let's do this. How are we on the third pour? Does everybody have one yet? Are we still pouring? We look good? All right, let's do the third pour. Excuse me, the third taste. Ladies, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna pour myself some.
Yeah.
All right, so we are on our bonded 8-year bourbon. I got a question about what is bonded and what qualifies for bottled and bond. So, you know, we're in Kentucky. I assume a lot of you guys are familiar with some bonded products here, but Bottled and Bond Act was passed in 1897. That is a full 9 years before America passed the very first Food and Drug Protection Act. So before America literally regulated anything, they regulated whiskey because it is that important. But in the early 1800s, we went through this big, we went through this big whiskey boom, right, in the 1800s, and lots of people were making whiskey and putting it out there. And lots of people were taking these very terrible shortcuts to get their whiskey on the market. And things that they were doing, they were putting in things like chewing tobacco and gasoline and embalming fluid and other really, really terrible things to get kind of that color and that bite. And then they were selling those barrels of whiskey off to their friends, and then their friends were dying of bad whiskey. Lots of people died of bad whiskey in the 1800s. We are from Colorado. There is a bunch of small mining towns in Colorado, one of them being Silverton. And if you ever get a chance to go to Silverton, which is this really weird, cool, old mining town, they have this old graveyard there. It's all from the 1800s. All the graves also have descriptions of how each person died. And it's very interesting to check out because living in a small mining town in the middle of nowhere, Colorado in the 1800s sounded rough. But you can actually walk around that old graveyard, and there is plenty of graves that actually say died of bad whiskey. And that was absolutely before the Bottled and Bond Act was passed. So whiskey professionals, you know, E.H. Taylor, you may be familiar with, was also truly one of America's first lobbyists, and he lobbied to pass that Bottled and Bond Act. So the Bottled and Bond Act is going to tell you a few new things, take it a step further from straight as far as the quality that you're getting in that bottle. So when you see bonded, it's going to be now at least 4 years old. It has to be 4 years old. It is going to be exactly 100 proof, no more, no less. It has to be made by one distillery in one distilling season, so you couldn't really source your whiskey and call it a bonded product. And we also honor using grains from just one single harvest season in our bonded products as well. So this is our release for 2023, and you will see this says 7S. We did 2 8-year bonded releases this year, 7S and 7F. 7S means that came from the spring season. 7F meant it came from the fall season. So we have 2 8-year bonded releases, same exact recipe, same exact process, aged the same amount of years, have some really cool differences between those bonded because of the harvest season those grains were grown in and when we distilled it. So bonded, when you see a bonded product, it is very much like a single barrel. It can change year to year. So if you find a bonded whiskey that you really like, maybe grab up a few of that batch because the next one will probably be really, really great, but it could be different, much like a single barrel from the next barrel that you have.
And Casey, one thing else to point out, no one asked, but I'm going to tell you anyways. We are a certified kosher facility. So that's a pretty important mark on this bottle, I feel, just as much as having bonded on there. So while the bonded regulation does come from our federal government, and that is the TTB, I will stand here and tell you the rabbi comes to check up on production and make sure everything's staying kosher far more than the TTB ever stops by to make sure we're following bottle and bond rules. So just in case you wanted that extra level of quality assurance for you, we are a certified kosher facility. So it also is nice if anyone does celebrate in the Jewish community. This is a lovely thing to bring out for Passover and other celebrations.
Yep, so bonded facility, kosher facility. Yes, the rabbis tend to check up on us more. Sometimes they take more whiskey when they go. So I feel like that we know where they're going with that, but we've got you covered.
I think we had a question back there. It is the same mash bill, yep. So still 60% corn, 20% wheat, 10% rye, 10% malted barley. We're jumping up in proof point and age statement. Now this might be a controversial statement. I tell people at the distillery every single day, older does not mean better, especially with American bourbon. So we are tasting something that's older. We're going to get deeper barrel notes off of that. But there's nothing wrong with saying our flagship, which does still have some older barrels in that mix, you maybe like better because that grain forwardness comes through in that, whereas some of the deeper barrel notes show as older. So,
What's the name of that nerve again?
the trigeminal nerve.
Trigeminal nerve.
Are you experiencing it?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. What?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, okay.
All right, can you all hear me? Is my speaker working? Hey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
All
yeah.
right, never mind. Hey, Alejandro. So we've got a question. Alejandro is in Wheaton, Illinois, which is the rich side of Chicago. And I will tell you this, Alejandro is a good friend, but he's one of the members of the club out of Chicago. Law's barrel pick is by far his favorite of the 20-something picks we've done. And so he called in. He's got a question, ladies.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alejandro.
Well, first of all, if Bill can turn on the closed caption so you guys can understand what I'm saying, that will be perfect.
Yeah, speak English, Alejandro.
I will try to do my best. So it's a two-part question, actually. And the first part of the question is first of all, thank you for making these amazing whiskeys that you guys are coming up with. Like as Steve just mentioned, by far the big Lost Barrel pick is my favorite. And recently I came across and I know you guys haven't reached out that one yet, is the 7-year-old rye bottle and bond, which I'm blown by. I think like the main part of the question is I get a lot of notes both in the bourbon and in the rye that has that citrusy orange clementine flavors. In fact, that rye is giving me a lot of clementine, cinnamon, and spices, which makes it incredible. What is it? What is the grain, or what is the element that is bringing out all those citrus in your bourbon? And the second part of the question is, are the limited release expressions that you have only sold at Colorado, or can they be found elsewhere?
Great questions. Thank you, Alejandro. So first, I'll just answer where you can get our whiskey. We are in about 20 states right now, and we can ship from our website to about 32 states, including Kentucky. So you can get us in Kentucky, and we are also found at Liquor Barn. So right now, our flagship bourbon and our flagship rye, and soon I believe our bonded bourbon will be able to be found at Liquor Barn in Kentucky as well. Oh, and Westboro Whiskey and Wine. Perfect. And then we are very saturated in Colorado. Some of our focus states, one of them is Illinois, so you can find us quite a bit in Illinois, Texas, California, and Florida. Those are states that we're focusing on big time right now and getting more saturated, so you will see us in all of those. But if you have a question about any state, you can go to our website. It lists all the states that we ship to and also all the states that we're distributed in and the distributor's name. So you can always find that on our website. As far as some of those notes that you're picking up in that 7-year rye, which Chris already said it, I love all my whiskey children equally, but this 7-year rye is really, really good. So we'll try that soon, but we always like to say that whiskey is very much a marriage of science, art, and a little bit of magic, right? So you can do all the scientific parts right. You can do all the measurements, but it's that art that distillers bring into it and kind of that magic that happens with aging in the barrel. But where we're picking up a lot of that notes is absolutely science. So obviously we are straight whiskey. We don't put any flavors into our whiskey. We get people in the tasting room all the time that are kind of whiskey noobs, and they're like, you're telling me there's no flavors in here. How am I picking up that apple or that orange? And the answer is absolutely science, right? Or really organic chemistry to get right down to it. So every part of whiskey, you have all these flavor molecules bouncing around and then connecting with each other and creating these flavor molecules. So wheat has the same flavor molecule as cinnamon. So a lot of times when you taste kind of that cinnamon or cinnamon balm, you're actually tasting that wheat grain. Malted grains have all those same flavor molecules as like coffee, toffee. So when you get those notes, you're tasting that malt. A lot of those super fruity notes comes from the fermentation. So that's where a lot of it comes from. We do an open air fermentation at Laws in our distillery. So we do have a proprietary yeast that we use and put in there, but we also welcome the wild yeast and other things that can drop into our open air fermentation. So a lot of those really cool fruity notes that you're absolutely getting the fermentation process of our whiskey.
I would also just like to add to that for Casey and for Alejandro. You know I got to have some tasting room exclusive stuff. So you know I got to have things that you could only get at the distillery. So we do have some, but as Casey said, there is a lot of options for you to purchase in liquor stores or from the website as well. But just in case, if you ever come see me at the distillery, you're like, wait, I can't get that. I'm like, I know, I got to have some street cred. So I have something that you can only get there.
So Hilda,
yeah.
I think I remember a year or so ago, you were going out to Denver and we set you up. Did you go out and tour? Okay.
Oh,
Is
no.
anybody going to Denver in the next couple of months? Look at that.
Come talk to me.
Ryan.
Yeah.
So here's who you want to talk to. So I've got a question. I didn't know I was taking questions on text, but I happened to see it.
Nice.
Ryan Hallberg in Michigan, Big Bourbon Top Shelf member. How many cases did Laws produce in 2022?
Well, that's a very specific accounting question, Ryan. We will look in an Excel spreadsheet and follow up. If I had to ballpark, this is what I do on the tours. I'm like, I'll tell you barrels, and you figure out the math later on, and then figure out your bottles. But we're producing 100 barrels a month, and that did happen in 2022. So arguably producing 100 barrels a month, but I don't know the exact number of cases for that year.
Okay,
I will find the answer out from our head blender, and I will post it in the Big Bourbon app.
Okay, so let me repeat that. Casey's going to find the answer. We don't know it off the top of her head. She's going to post it in the app. Go there as you purchase the barrel pick bottle, and then you'll get the answer.
How many cases in 2022? I'll find it.
All right, I've got it. Oh, go ahead.
6
go ahead,
bottles
Jeff.
per case. Yeah. 6. Yeah. You gonna do the math? Okay. All right. There we go.
Hey, I've got another question. Travis, your wife has texted me. This is kind of weird. Okay. She says, Elizabeth Swartz down in White House, Tennessee, north of Nashville, Travis's better half, says, do you ladies make and create the bourbon?
Ooh, that's a great question. So we are not distillers, no, but we are a very small village. You will hear all of us refer to us as the Laws Whiskey House Village.
Hey, everybody, really whisper in the back, please. Could you all whisper in the back, please? Really loud. Thank you. Thank you.
You will hear us refer to as a village. We do currently have 4 distillers and 1 head blender that kind of do all of the beginning part, but it is a very collaborative effort. So even with every single batch that is produced, we have a hand in picking what batch is going to go out, how it's blended, and what tasting notes that we put out as well. So every time we do a new batch, typically our blender will come with 2 different tastings with kind of like, it will have for a 100-barrel batch, he'll put together a core 25 barrels for each, and then add a few different barrels for kind of 2 different like tasting things that he wants, and then we all get together and very collaboratively talk about that. The distillers have a distiller meeting every single Monday that we're all involved in as well if we would like to be, where not only do we taste the newest things that have been aged
in the back, whisper, please, really loud up here. Sorry.
That we're going to do, but also kind of the white dog coming off the still. So we always sample that and make tasting notes as well. So we kind of know what we're getting before we get into the bottle. This year, Crystal and I worked on something that we were super excited about as a village. We released our very first Women of Laws single barrel. Hopefully not the last. It was a distillery exclusive. But we are only a village of about 40 people. That is our total company. So we are small, but we are mighty. We picked these barrels. We pulled about 4 barrels, and then all the women that work for Laws, we all came together. We tasted through it. We made the tasting notes. We picked the barrel. Even some of our farmers, the Whiskey Sisters, had kind of a say in this as well. It was at cask strength because women like bold cask strength whiskey as well, so we released it at cask strength. And it had a very special label as well. So we picked the bottle, we picked the label. Proceeds from that went to a farming advocacy group in Denver as well. That's a women's run group. So it's always very collaborative. We get a lot of say in kind of these different things that we release as well.
And then just to add one more to that, we definitely are not distillers, but we train with the distillers. So every single person that comes through our company, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a bottler, whether you work in the tasting room with me, you spend 2 days on the production floor learning what the distillers do and more so appreciating what they do. Because they will tell you as a distiller, they're more of a glorified janitor than anything else. And so that's something that we certainly want to show and make sure that everybody that represents the brand can speak about it like a distiller would. So that's part of like our brand core, is making sure that we're all almost as educated as those distillers. Obviously, they have far more experience and background with that, but we want to be able to speak to the brand like the distillers would. So, and then we had a question over here.
Hey, hold on, Jack. Everybody in the back cannot hear at all. Everybody in the back, please. Raise your hand if you're having trouble hearing. Just whisper if you don't mind. Thank you.
My question is, the Women of Laws, I think Britney Spears would be an excellent sponsor of that. She's a good, strong woman, social media presence. Do you all have, and there is a question there, do you all have any celebrity sponsorships?
So hold on, let me answer this. Hold on a second.
Are you going to tell him?
My college roommate here. Hold on a second. Never has Britney Spears been spoken at a big Bourbon Club meeting until tonight. Never. But please answer.
But I'll tell you what, if you can get me in touch with Iron Maiden, that's who we want to be our celebrity sponsor. So if anybody here can get me a line to Iron Maiden, anybody out
All right,
there,
I've lost control of my meeting. Matt Reynolds, Shadley, come on up. Ladies, take a step, turn your things off before we hit that.
Oh, he's going to mute us.
Matt and Shadley run the Henderson County, Western KY, out near Owensboro, the Habitat for Humanity. And they raise, I'll let Matt tell you, an enormous amount of money for the Habitat which builds homes for people who are in need.
Can you hear me?
But why don't you give an update? They've been a great partner for several years. Come on, let's get on over.
I've got some really great news, and I've got some really terrible news. I'll start with the great news though, because everybody seems to be happy. The great news is if you're sitting here and you're a member of the Big Bourbon Club, you're in the baddest ass club on the planet. So that's the really great news. Because in part from us just giving, just contributing just a little bit to Steve's huge events. I mean, a pittance. In part to that, we sold 10,000 raffle tickets in 44 days. Completely sold out. That's the bad news. We thought we'd still have 26 days to sell tickets, so everybody here tonight could have a chance to buy one. However, if you didn't get one, you can't get one. So we did sell out sooner than we thought, but it's because we got great partners like Steve and the Big Bourbon Club. Thank you all so much. Any questions?
Matt, tell them how much the tickets were.
The tickets were $100 a piece. We sold 10,000, so we did raise $1 million.
Tell them how many better bourbon flights you could have won, because this will happen next year too.
Well, if it's up to Shedley, there'll be more. There's 32 possible prize packages. It was somewhere around 180 bottles. Top two prizes being the Pappy Van Winkle sets, and it just keeps going down from there. So there will be 32 winners, and I think the minimum bottle count in a package is 4, and the maximum I think is like 10. So there's going to be 32 lucky people on September the 20th.
And of the $1 million, how much will go directly to build homes for the needy?
$810,000.
How about that? How many homes will you build with $810,000?
We'll be able to build almost 8, but we got a little bit of extra money from a fundraiser, not like this that we had prior, that we're going to be able to build 8 homes with the money we generated. So.
Anybody here lucky enough to get a ticket for this one? All right. I hope to be able to call you.
If you want to get on our email or text list, because we will send out mass texts and emails next year before ours starts, give Shadley your email, or she'll give you her email and you email her. We'll be sure to send you that information. I don't know when ours will be next year. It takes me a while, and her a while to hunt this shit down, as you all know. Y'all are.
So tell them about if you're out of state, because we have several out of state folks here. Can they participate?
Anybody can participate now. So as you all know, shipping of alcohol is illegal. We don't ship alcohol to the winners. There's 2 ways to claim your prizes. One, if you live 150 or more miles away from Henderson, you can drive to get it. We will pay you $500 for your travel expenses for you to come claim your package. 2, if it is legal in your area and for Shadley to transport it across interstate lines, most of the time it is because the bottle count's low, the milliliter count doesn't really trip anything. So Shadley last year, I think, what'd you drive, 5,000 miles? Shadley drove 5,275 miles delivering prizes. So there are ways to get it, so you don't have to be present to win, and you don't have to live in Kentucky to participate. So next year, please join in. It's a great event. We raise a lot of money, build a lot of houses for people that need it. And again, we hope that other entities, nonprofits will start doing this. We've been trying to teach a lot of people, a lot of places how to do it, the licensure and stuff you have to get and different things. A lot of people are just a little scared about how much money you got to spend on advertising. Without the Facebook advertising, nobody knows we have any tickets to sell. And that's expensive. So that's why of the $1 million we raised, 810 of it is the net because of our advertising expenses. But we wouldn't have sold 10,000 tickets without that advertising. So
let me tell you a story. So Shadley, we've been working together now. This is our 3rd year, I think.
Yep.
And Shadley texted me a week ago. She goes, Steve, we've only got 1,000 tickets left. I said, well, come on down to Louisville from Henderson. We'll tell everybody about it. She texted me yesterday. Oh my God, we have 376 tickets left. She texted me today at 4 o'clock. We sold out. I said, come on anyway. So this is the biggest fundraiser, bourbon related, I think, in the world. Am I right?
I can't claim that. She'll claim it.
I can say anything I want.
Yeah, that's right. Take it from him.
If it ain't now,
If it ain't now, it will be. That's the tagline for this. So, Matt, Shadley, thanks for driving in 2 hours. Big Bourbon Club.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Yes.
Number 4.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. As the ladies come up. Number 3. You have 3 of them now. What's your favorite? Number 1. Let's go in order. Number 1 is your favorite. Now, number 1 was close second to number 2. Was number 1 your favorite out of 3 now? Have we had 4? Yeah.
They're on 4 right now.
We're on 4. You're not supposed to be drinking it. No, that's okay. I drink my thing. Who liked number 1 best? John, no. Number 2, the rye. Number 3.
Ah.
How about that? I would say so far that would be my favorite too. Now we haven't done 4 yet. You're cheating. You're cheating if you did. You're just like John Calipari if you drank too soon. Okay. That's an inside joke. We don't cheat in Kentucky. All right, let's talk about number 4.
Let's talk about, and these last 2 are bonded, are some of our most award-winning whiskeys as well. So, they both earn double gold at the San Francisco Spirit Awards. Our bonded rye, we're very, very proud of. For the 3rd time this year, it won Best Rye in the World under 12 years at the World of Whiskeys. So 3 times so far, and I hope you guys can see why. This is absolutely one of my favorite. Crystal did talk about, especially for bourbon and American whiskey, older isn't always better. And 7 to 8 years, I think collectively in laws, we are 12 years old, so we're going to be able to release older and older age statements. But 7 to 8 years is a really, really awesome sweet spot for us right now.
So please try it. Enjoy it.
Drink some whiskey.
Let us know what you think of that 7-year rye. Number 4 is number 1.
That's what I like to hear.
Again, it's 100% rye, so you're going back to a singular grain. So what's really kind of cool with this tasting is you're bouncing between all 4 grains and then going to a singular grain out of that mash bill. It's 50% malted rye and 50% raw rye. Yep, but it's all that rye grain. Yep.
Hey, everybody, listen up. Listen up. Tell them one more time, in case they were not listening, about the award that this one had won.
Yes.
Just one.
Yes, so this has just won for the 3rd time the best rye in the world, 12 years and under, at the World Whiskey Awards. So we're very, very proud of that. And do you have a question? No, these are 50%.
Oh, typo.
Oh, that is a typo. Ignore that. It is 50. Yeah, that was just you get an extra point or an extra ticket. Yeah, so both of those are in fact 100 proof. Also, we have talked a lot about, you hear this 50% raw, 50% malted, so there is 50% malted rye. The reason you don't see a lot of 100% rye is because you do need a malted grain to make whiskey, right? When you malt a grain, it produces an enzyme that helps break down starches and turn them into fermentable sugars. So that's why in a lot of whiskeys, you see that 5 to 10% malted barley. When you see just malt, it typically is referring to malted barley. You need the least amount of malted barley for that conversion factor. So that's why malted barley is typically referred to more of a conversion grain rather than a flavor grain. You can actually malt any grain, it just takes more of that malted grain for that same conversion. So
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. You said the malted rye is typically a flavor grain, or it's not?
The malted barley is typically a conversion grain rather than a flavor grain. But our malted rye is absolutely a flavor grain. Yep. So by doing this 50-50, we're able to get that same conversion. And like any malted grain, that malted rye picks up that sweetness. So when you're tasting more of that sweetness, you are tasting some of that malted rye in there.
What do y'all think? Have you tried it? Yeah? Anybody want to share? Anything you're experiencing? Anything you like? Spicy and earthy, yeah. Anybody else?
I do a lot of spearmint on it.
Yes, definitely.
That's that trigeminal nerve right there, giving you
that.
If I can't spell it, I don't say it.
Anybody else? Is it sweet to anybody? Yes.
I think it's a sweeter note, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. So starts out sweet and then kind of finishes spicy. How's this one staying on your palate? Are you smacking your lips together? Is it still with you?
Lingers quite a bit.
We got, back there, yeah.
All right, we won't do the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, but would 4 be better than the other 3 for you? Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right, can I ask one, Steve? Yeah. How many people did we convert to rye drinkers tonight? Raise your hand. Yeah, I'll take it. Even just one, I'll take it.
All right.
I'm going to try some more.
So we have one more to go, which is our barrel pick, barrel 600. Hilda was on the pick. So we're going to do one more. We haven't poured it yet, I don't think.
Not yet.
We're getting ready to. Right?
Come over that way.
Any questions for the ladies?
About whiskey, about life, we're here for you. What do you need? Oh, do we chill filter? No, we do not chill filter. We want that oily, that viscous mouthfeel. We want that to come through for you. So surely we'll use that coffee filter, make sure there's no char bits in it for you, but no chill filtering here. It's going to be nice and thick in that glass. It's going to leave that cloudiness behind for you. Yep.
So let me, this is the barrel pick we're going to do now. I'll just name on the bottle, you can see who did the pick. Hilda was on the pick. Aaron Mann, who just left, was on the pick. Crest Bride is in the back, was on the pick. I was on the pick. And we had 3 or 4 more who were not here. But this is the barrel pick. Barrel 600, 120.2 proof.
And then they're right there. There's 2 of them. I gave one to her over there.
She has one.
A little bit shorter. Steve.
And again, guys, as they're pouring this out, this is the same mash bill. This is our 4-grain bourbon, so the exact mash bill of that first one and that 8-year-old bonded, but just a single barrel expression.
Probably just little pours because there was only
and
2.
a higher proof.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay. They were just going through the 3. So okay.
Hey, so I got to tell you, I just saw something. Oh. How many of you are 60 years old and older? Yeah, we get on it. My brothers hold 2 hands. I guess that's 120.
AARP.
We have been on Planet Earth 60 years, and I just saw something I've never seen before. I swear to God, I thought my brother was John Wayne because I've never seen him drink any bourbon other than out of a bottle. And he just drank it with his little pinky out in the cup. Look at him. Hey, Davis, come here, real quick. Come here. Let me introduce you to a very important friend of mine, my nephew, Tom's son. Come here, Davis. He wasn't expecting this, so this is my nephew.
Aww.
Just graduated from University of Kentucky with what degree? And hold on. So where have you been working the last 1.5 years after graduation?
Joe, making bullet.
So this is what happens in Kentucky when you go to college. You go work at some of these big distilleries. You've done great, man. We're proud of you. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, get the hell off. Go. All right. So remember, okay, I'm not going to say that. All right, how are we doing on the pours? Probably have a few left to go. Okay, so we'll do the barrel pick. Questions, Dennis?
Yes, we will. So we have plenty of 11 and 12-year-old barrels kind of in stock. We're always going to hold some back to see that. Do we know if 15 or 20-year-old barrels are going to be great? Maybe, maybe not, but we're absolutely holding something back. So our head blender, James, has one of the most amazing jobs, but also one of the most difficult jobs because his job is inventorying the whole warehouse and tasting through everything and kind of selecting how that goes and what we age. So, you know, he'll taste something and start picking stuff for batches, but he might taste a barrel and be like, oh, you know what? This is so amazing. We're going to hold this back for a single barrel program and make that an option. Or, oh, you know, this is great, but let's see what happens in another year. And barrels do ebb and flow as well. So there's definitely been times where like we try it, it's amazing. The next year it's like, and then it's amazing again. So it doesn't have necessarily to do with age. It's sometimes getting the magic of getting it at the perfect point. But yes, we are absolutely always holding barrels back to see what happens at older age statements.
All right, hold on. I've got is this speaker working? I'm not sure. Can you hear it? Yeah. All right, now speak loud. It already gets off mute, but just got a comment on Facebook, not a question, from our good friend in Carbondale, Colorado.
Yay!
Marble Distilling, Carrie Shanks, founder owner
Hi,
of Clark
Carrie.
County. Carrie says, Marble is here to support awesome Colorado juice. Way to go, Laws.
Yeah. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. We love Marble.
I've said this. I'll talk to you about this pick in a second, but I've said this to a lot of people. Colorado whiskey does not taste like Kentucky whiskey, nor is it supposed to. But when you drink it, you know it's high quality. We had Garrison Brothers here a month and a half ago. Texas whiskey does not taste like Colorado whiskey or Kentucky whiskey, but it's really damn good. So bourbon can be made in how many states? All 50. Appreciate the difference between the regions, the altitudes, the grains, the mass, the water, because you know the good ones when you taste them. This is a really, really good one. So anyway, when I was out at Laws, this was a year ago, Al Laws, owner, founder, namesake, took us to the rack house, and we were tasting a lot of different things. I said, Al, take me to the honey hole. And he took me to the laboratory in the back left corner.
Yep.
And he's got beakers. It's like, have you ever seen Young Frankenstein? Well, I'm not going to do any quotes, but it's like Young Frankenstein. There are beakers filled with crazy stuff. And he starts pouring me, and I'm like, God, that is incredible. And it was the old stuff. And so when Al, I don't know this is a fact, but I think we were the first 8-year-old plus barrel pick because it was 2 years ago.
I think you were.
I'm
Absolutely.
pretty sure we were. And he literally let us get into, I don't know, not a lot of barrels, 100, 200 barrels that were aging to be older. And this is one of the oldest ones they had at the time. Not the oldest, but it was the first barrel pick they ever did at 8 years plus. Okay? So.
And to his point, right, we're holding those barrels back.
Without a doubt.
What an honor to be able to sell you one of those older ones and be able to share some of that older spirit with you and your club when we're still trying to keep some of that back too.
This is the first one. I got to tell you something else that I'm not happy with, but keep this off Facebook. But we announced our barrel pick and rolled it out, and a week later, Liquor Barn announced theirs. And with 26 stores and a $1 zillion budget, it hurt me badly. But anyway, support the Big Bourbon Club.
Yes.
All right.
Question, yeah.
Great question. So we do have a spirits trail, a Colorado spirits trail that is all spirits. It's not just whiskey, it's not just bourbon, but a lot of those on the spirits trail will also make a bourbon or a whiskey. So, you know, we kind of talked about it, and we love to hear Marble here on here as well because we're very supportive with all the distilleries in Colorado. Colorado is very much known for kind of its brewery scene. It went through this big beer boom, and now we're still kind of right in the middle of this big whiskey boom. We were, I think, like the 23rd distillery license in the state of Colorado, and now there are over 150 distillery licenses in Colorado. And people always ask if we're, scared, or who our competitors are, or who we're competing with shelf space. And the answer is really like, there's room for us all, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of really great different things. Stranahan's is kind of one of a national one that people think of, and they just make a malt whiskey. So people come in all the time and they'll be like, well, what are you doing different from Stranahan's? And we're like, have you tasted us? Literally everything. But we love them as well. So this year we released something really cool. Crystal talked about kind of these tasting room exclusives that we do. But about 8 years ago, a bunch of distilleries got together, us and 6 other Colorado distilleries. And we said, hey, what happens if we all distill 100% wheat whiskey with the same grain in all of our different distilleries, and then we'll marry it together and age it in Laws Whiskey House. So that is what we did. We collaborated. We used Colorado Malting Company wheat. That's our wheat. Each one distilled it in their own process. We married it together. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a really cool, drinkable whiskey. But what we did is not only did all the distilleries do this, 7 Colorado distilleries get together. It's called the Colorado Collaboration Wheat Whiskey. And not only did we donate all of our time, but we got all the materials. The barrel company donated barrels. All the grains were donated. The bottles were donated. The labels were donated. So each distillery took, how many bottles did we get? 170?
No, only 114.
114. Each distillery got 114 barrels. 100% of the proceeds went to Colorado nonprofits of our choosing. So that was a really cool. That was really awesome. And we donated to Peak. What is it called?
Oh, Urban Peak.
Urban Peak, which is a company in Denver that facilitates and helps with specifically the teen homeless population, which was really important to us. And they're building a great new home right down the street from us. But that was a really great way for the first time this year to highlight all the different things that different Colorado whiskeys are doing, but also how we have this very collaborative mindset with each other as well.
So did you each really keep out one barrel and compare to see who did the best?
We actually didn't. He asked if we each kept out one barrel to see whose was the best. I think we all have our thoughts on who was the best, but no, we actually didn't. We married all of those together.
And we got a question back there.
It was very, very good. So I describe our wheat as very drinkable. It's a summer release. It's great with an ice cube, but it does kind of surprise you with a little bit of heat and spiciness to it. This one was very, very smooth, very sweet, definitely like a drinkable summer whiskey. So if you were ever to go into our distillery, you will see how it's separated, and we have a big row of our bourbon. We have a big row of our rye. On the other side, we have wheat, corn, and barley. And then you may also see sprinkled throughout there a bunch of barrels that have an X on them. And every barrel with an X on it is an experimental barrel, and it means that it's strayed from kind of our 4-core mash bill. And there are quite a few X's barrels.
Hey, everybody, we cannot hear at all. Hold on. The event's not over. Cannot hear at all. I know we're having fun. I want you to continue to, but just give us a few more minutes. James, I think you have a question. Hold on. Quiet.
We did.
We sold out in about 3 hours.
Yeah, one day. Yeah. All right.
Crystal.
Any other questions? Any tasting? Anything y'all want to share?
Let's do it. So the barrel pick was number 5. Have you had it yet? Have you tasted it? What do you think? one, was that your favorite tonight? Okay. Maybe. It was very good. I turned it off. Number two. Rye, got a few. Number three. The fourth rye, the gold medal winner. The barrel pick bottle. Son of a bitch.
Nice. You're not sold out yet, are you, Steve?
Excuse me?
You're not sold out yet, are you?
No, I'm not.
All right.
There's probably 15 bottles left in the barrel pick. Go back and see Cress at the end. We also have the Jack Daniels fundraiser bottle for Officer Wilt, support Officer Wilt's recovery, and support me and Cress. Go to the back and get the barrel pick.
Thank you.
All right, so we're not officially done, but I'm going to turn it over to you to close out the evening.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, again, there was a bunch of people that raised their hand that's going to Denver soon, so please come and talk to Crystal and I, specifically Crystal, because she will set you up with amazing distillery tour. And if you don't have plans to go to the distillery soon, we actually are in our final week of our Distiller for a Day sweepstakes. If you sign up, it will get you to enter a trip to Denver, all expenses paid. We will hook you up with your flights, your hotel. You will get to work on the production floor with our distillers, blend with our blender. We'll all take you out to dinner, and we're going to do some fun things in Denver as well. The last day to do this is August 31st, and we will pick a winner in the beginning of September. So come up here, scan this code, sign up for our Distiller for a Day sweepstakes.
And you don't have to go to school for one day at all. You can just come be a distiller for a day.
Last question. I heard the first. Hold on, everybody. Hold on.
You want to see?
I sure can.
For the day,
I sure can.
we have 5 minutes left, and we can't hear. All right, try one more time. Still for a day.
All right, one more time.
This in the app already.
One more time. In the app, you'll be able to find this, but we do have this QR code for you to scan, and you don't have to go to a lick of school to come and be a distiller for a day with us at Law's Whiskey House. We will put you up. We'll take care of your flight. Hotel, we'll put you to work, so there is that, but you'll get to see what a day in the life of a distiller is, and hey, if you're pretty good at it, we're hiring, so we might just keep you around.
All right. Now, they probably didn't hear about the barrel pick still for sale either, did they? Okay, they did. All right, never mind.
All right. Well, thank you all again. Thank you, Steve. Thank you to everyone for being here with us. Cheers! Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We have a couple of bottles to give away. If anybody's interested. At number 2, early in the night, we asked how many of you have never had Laws, and a lot of you have raised your hands, probably 2/3. Have we converted anybody into Laws lovers now?
Woo!
All right, report back to Alan and Mark. We did a good job.
We did. We will.
All right, so we're going to draw for some bottles. We have a couple of extra bottles up here. Get your ticket out. Callahan, you can't win again. You won 30 times here. All right, we ready?
We're ready.
Crystal, you want to pick?
Sure.
All right, pick a number and read it out.
We have
All right.
4. We have 4 we can give away.
All right.
Good.
And then we can just let
2,
whoever
5,
wins
9.
pick it first.
2, 6, 5.
Davis!
Anybody?
Let's go.
Oh, we got our distiller. Congratulations.
Wow, home cooking, big dog. Come on. You got to show them the chicken. I'm not going.
Okay.
You got to get a picture.
All right, we got to make
You
sure.
get your pick of one of these.
So these are the 4 that we tasted other than the barrel pick.
He's legit, y'all. He's legit.
Ooh.
Now, Davis has had Laws before. You've been out there, right? Yes. Yeah. All right, come on, get a picture of the ladies.
Nice.
And since Steve mentioned this, we do also have a Kentuckian who went to school for chemical engineering on our staff. Barbara McDonald is one of our lead distillers. So
Barbara.
we have some Kentucky spirit in our whiskey as well.
Small town. Y'all might know
Get in
it.
the middle. Get in the middle. Get in the middle. Hold your bottle up. Which one did you get, Davis? Going between a few roses.
Congratulations.
I
Thank
gave
you.
Davis 200 tickets. Nope, we got 3 more. All right, we got 3 more winners. 1 of each expression. All right, Casey.
All right.
Davis wins 2 more. We know this is it.
Okay, 259290.
Anybody?
290.
290.
Must be present to win. All right, somebody left. Somebody left. That's too bad.
Okay, 259334.
334. Yeah. Woo!
So hold on a second. Hold on a second. I was going to introduce Tom earlier. So Tom just joined the Top Shelf out of Michigan. He drove down with his wife for the event. And Tom's name is Tom Morrow. I call him Mañana. And I'm not the first one. Okay, hold on. Tom's got an incredible question. He asked me, it's up to you guys, can we auction the bottle off that he won right now and donate all the money to Officer Wilkes Recovery Fund? All right, I've never done this. Can I get 30? Can I get 30? All right, Ron Wolf, can I get 50? I got 50. Can I get 60? All right, we're still below. James, 70. 70. Can I get 80? Come on, everybody. It's tax deductible. 80. Can I get 90? All right, Tom Higdon, 90. He's got 2 hands up. 180. Can I get 190? Well, he had 2 hands up. He doesn't even know what he's doing. 90. Can I get 90? SB. Can I get 100? Come on, somebody give me 100. 3 figures. Chris Smiley. All right. We don't even know yet. Oh, which bottle do you want?
You get a.
How about they get the pick? All right, whoever wins picks. Well, all right, we're up to 150. Excuse me, 100. Can I get 110? We've got, I know it. I was in Trinity. It doesn't work well. We got 100 with Chris Smiley. Do I have anybody more than 100? 110. Pick your bottle. You big dog? We got 110 from the guy who drinks like John Wayne. 120, Officer Will. It's all tax deductible. Going. 120. All right, can I get 130? We got a bidding war between the 2 millionaires here. 130. Can I get 130? All right, so we got 120. We got 130. He's always talked big his whole damn life. Where are we at? 120. Anybody got 130? Be clear. Do we have 130? All right, 120 going once, going twice, 140.
Silent sleeper.
All those St. X grads have a flair for the dramatic. Dennis Boucher, he just had shoulder surgery and he's hadn't raised it up that high since he had surgery. All right, we got 140 over here. 140 for the officer. Can I get 150? Anybody else hold up? Are you 150 for real? 150 in the back. Yeah, he's a Trinity 75 grad. We're always on top of you. 160. All right, we got 150. Going once, going twice. 170. 170 right here. 170. You're on a fixed income, bro. Be careful. 170. He's retired. He's got cash. Hey.
Cash is king.
There's no IOUs. No IOUs. All right, we got 180. All right, I'm going to close it out at 200. I'm going to count to 3 for 200. We're going to give it away. You get a picture with the ladies and me.
Yeah.
That's worth like 150 right there.
Once, going twice. Dennis, fix that arm. Hey, Great idea. Come pick what you want. Hey, Tom. Tom, get the picture. Tom, no, get the picture with you. Get it, come on. Go get that was awesome. There you go.
We'll cap them. Let them get in the middle.
You're in this. Come on.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful thing.
Whatever one you want.
Thank you.
We got the ride. All right.
All right.
If you make it out to Denver.
Hey, that's awesome.
Oh.
If you make it out to Denver, let me know. Get you a private tour.
All right, let's draw. We have 2 bottles left. Let's draw for the last 2 bottles.
We got the rye and the bonded rye. So
I want it with a rye.
So if you like the rye.
259 342.
342. Did you leave early?
342.
All right, then.
Oh, no, we got one.
Woo!
Good for you. Good for you.
Did you like the rye?
You know,
We got the 7-year rye.
I know. Now you're both with it. Sarah, you tell me which one.
I mean, this is probably one of my all-time favorites.
All-time
so
favorite,
I
so
would
I
go
want
with that
that
one.
one.
Yeah.
All-time
Yes,
favorite.
yes.
We
yeah,
gotta get
in
a
the middle.
picture. Yes.
Girl power. Girl power. 4 times. All right, last one. Last drawing. Crystal.
All right.
Here's the money.
All right, last one. 259 307. 307. 307.
No way. No way. My brother.
This is rigged.
Rigged.
How did you get me in on this? I don't know.
I'm serious. God love that son of a bitch.
How did we rig this and I'm in on it?
No way. Holy shit.
Is this the bottle you would have picked?
This is
It
the.
doesn't matter.
I know.
Come on in the back.
307. He's got 307,
All right.
folks. He's got 307.
All right, come on.
You get.
So for the record, the only sober person here, go on up there.
I am. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
It's a Higgin Grand Slam.
Oh, there you go. Get over here.
Now hold on, no touching. Just stop.
This is the Big Bourbon Club. Come on.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
All right, so here's the last one. I'm gonna give
Oh, get
away
your bottle.
one
There you go.
of the barrel pick. Last chance if you want to buy barrel pick bottles of the walls, Royal Rubber Press, the Jack Daniels bottles, Hannah, Jill, Carter, tip your waitresses handsome. They did a great job. Hold on, guys. So you need me?
Which one did you see?
I was going a little. I went through.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of rye.
Continually sipping.
Yeah.
Can we get a quick round of applause for Steve, everyone? Thank him for bringing all of us together. Just a round of applause for this guy.
So, everybody, tip your waitresses handsomely. And I'm going to give away a barrel pick bottle of Laws to Tom Morrow for bringing that up. So, Tom,
Woo!
all right, guys, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Donate Laws Barrel to the Laws family here in Louisville, Kentucky.
That was
You
me.
did.
That was me.
Izzy got that from you.
Yeah.
If I bring you that barrel, and I brought it with me
Yeah.
from the Laws family, y'all sign to
It'd be
the
my
family.
honor.
Yes,
Give me a moment.
absolutely.
It's my call.
Absolutely, it'd be
Okay?
my honor.
They still, so he passed away.
Yeah.
That's okay. We donated that to the family.
I'm so glad it made it. I was worried about shipping it, and I made sure we packed it really, really well to make sure it showed up.
Y'all did a dynamite job, so I figured you're going to be here.
Yep.
So that's why I brought it. So I'll be right back. Thank you.
Oh, we did it! Oh, I'm so sweaty. Can you help me take it off? Okay.